Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers. We are in our absolutely spine-tingling September. I'm so excited.
Ooh, very spooky. Yes, I'm excited. I'm loving this.
Yes, me too. So I thought, Mark, today I'd take us, because we just got back from Dragon Con, which was
Yes,
super exciting.
still recovering.
Yes. We got to do many panels and talk to many travelers, which was super, super duper fun.
Mhm.
And I got to meet Brent Spiner, loved that. John Cleese, loved that. And Nathan Fillion. All of these were super duper loves from our amazing trip to Dragon Con.
Yeah, and I got to meet a lot of my favorite authors and got to do some panels with some amazing people who we're going to try to have on as future guests. And at my nerdy moment of history was I got to meet Larry Hama, one of the original creators of G.I. Joe characters that I love. He still writes the comic to this day, which is amazing to me.
G.I. Joe, a real American hero.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
But yeah, you did some panels with some amazing people. I did some panels with amazing people. We love the horror track. We love the X track. Both those were amazing. We apologize to those Eerie travelers that got shut out of our panel on Saturday night because we were too popular. And the line overflowed and they had to cut the line. And then there was some confusion with the hotel. It was a disaster. But that means we just need a bigger room next year. So hopefully.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. That's what we're hoping for. But with that said, I thought I would start off Spine Tingling September with something I wanted to do last year and then didn't have a chance. But this ties into an event that we're going to be at, which is Scarefest.
Yes.
So we're going to Scarefest again this year. I have to look up the dates, but I think it's in Kentucky and it's in October, right?
October, yes. I want to say the 15th of October or 17th of October. Yes.
I know you're doing some clickety clacks because we probably should have pulled that up to begin with.
The 20th of October.
Okay, so you can come see us. We're speaking on that Saturday, but one of my favorite people to meet in the entire universe is going to be there, and that is Matthew Lillard.
Ah, yes. So, Shaggy.
Yes, but not from Shaggy. No, that's not my Matthew Lillard.
Wing Commander? That's one of my favorite movies too.
No, that's not the one either. The one we're going to be talking about today is 13 Ghosts.
Oh, I didn't know he was in that. He couldn't have been born yet. That was 1960.
No, Mark, the 2001 version.
Oh, wait. I went down the wrong rabbit hole then.
Wait a minute. Okay, do we need to take a trip in the Wayback Machine to start this? Because what is the 1960 version?
Oh, the 1960 version of 13 Ghosts was one of the William Castle classics. William Castle, known for creating all the really weird, fun movies like House on Haunted Hill, filmed in Emergo with Vincent Price. And what happened with that was there was a scene at the end where Vincent Price, well, spoiler, tricks his terrible wife into falling into a vat of acid by using a skeleton on a marionette that he made. And what they did in the theaters was they would send a skeleton on a chain from the screen out into the audience, and people would panic and run. And,
oh, wow.
And when asked about it, Vincent Price once said, aren't you worried about the people who run? He's like, no, there's too many people around anyway. Love Vincent Price. But this one was 13 Ghosts. And the way he did that was it was filmed, I forget what it was called, but basically you were given a ghost viewer. And you know how 3D, you have the red lens and the blue lens on the old glasses, and it would make the film come out in 3D. We did a panel on Creature from the Black Lagoon, which was one of the last 3D movies. But this one, there was one blue lens above and one red lens below. And basically, the way it worked was there were points in the movie. You didn't wear it the whole movie, you put it on when the ghosts were supposed to be around. And if you believed in ghosts, you looked through the blue light. And if you didn't
Okay.
believe in ghosts, you looked through the red lens. And what happened was it enhanced the ghostly effects if you believed in ghosts, and it desensitized them if you didn't believe in ghosts. You can still see them, but just barely. So it was a really cute gimmick. And now with modern releases, you can watch it. But the story was basically this family is out of money and their house is being repossessed. The dad's a paleontologist for some reason. I think they just had access to a museum, so they used it. But he gets the kids, it's his birthday, and he wishes for a house and furniture that isn't going to be repossessed. And immediately they win. A lawyer appears and says, you have to come to this law office. And of course, they inherited a house from their crazy uncle who collected ghosts. And their goal was they had to stay in the house or the house would be given to the state. So they have to stay in the house with the ghosts and all. And there's a book that has the names of the 12 ghosts he's captured. Well, there's 11 that he's captured. And he has
So wait, before you go too far, I think it's got similar, but I think the 2001 version updated it dramatically.
Yes, of course.
In a good way. We talk sometimes about movies where they did the update and they really sucked hardcore at doing the update.
Yeah.
And we like the original. This is one, including Haunting of Hill House. The original was way better than kind of what they did with other things. Those movies who shall not be named.
Yeah, the original Haunting is much better than the 2000 Haunting of Hill House. But the new recent Netflix one, done in the spirit of Haunting of Hill House, I thought that was pretty good.
It's true. It's true. So, okay. So 13 Ghosts. The premise of the 2001 version is that Tony Shalhoub, who is a father who's recently widowed, uncle leaves him and his kids, who are now, because the wife died in a house fire, leaves them a house.
Mm.
It's a beautiful, modern, all glass, just absolutely gorgeous house. Anyway, needless to say, when he goes there, there's a couple characters who kind of are looking into things in the house there as well with them, but then the house seals up and they're trapped inside. And ergo, we get the 13 ghosts. Now, I'm not sure if the ghosts are the same, so we should go through them and see if they are the same from one movie to the other. You ready?
Okay, well, I know they're not, because the modern movie gave them a lot of lore and everything. In the original movie, there were 12 ghosts that he captured over the years, and they don't really have a lot to them story-wise. One was an Italian chef. Oh, and the house is run by a caretaker who is named Elaine, and it's played by the great Margaret Hamilton, who had played the Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh.
Back in the day, and she's still basically doing the same character. But they find a Ouija board and a book in Latin, and the book in Latin is the book that names the ghost. But the 13th ghost is blank, and that's an important plot point in this. And yeah, the occultist was Dr. Plato Zorba, was the occultist who bequeathed them the house. But there's a fiery skeleton, an Italian chef who continuously murders his wife and her lover. There's a hanging lady. There's an executioner with a big, he's got a severed head. And then there's a lion with his headless tamer. And then there's the floating head. And of course, the ghost of Zorba himself. Zorba is the 12th ghost. But who was the 13th ghost? And that's the 13th ghost is the plot twist at the end. And we'll get to that.
Exactly. So I want to go through what they did in the 2001 version. Because in the 2001 version, what they find as they go through this is there is a thing called the Black Zodiac. Ooh. And there is a thing called the Black Zodiac, but we're going to cover that after covering the movie lore of this. But like we said, one of the great things sometimes about movies is if they do create the actual information around the movie. Like they actually build in all of the sort of lore that goes with it instead of just like, here are 12 ghosts, this one's blah, 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 right? So this movie did. So I want to go over the ghosts. And then, Mark, I want to know which one is your favorite because I'll tell you mine.
Okay.
The ghosts in order go. Number one is the firstborn son. And Billy Michaels was a young boy who was addicted to Western films and loved pretending to be a cowboy. He was also a rebellious and stubborn brat who notoriously got what he wanted whenever he wanted and hated and disagreed with everybody. One day, another little kid challenged Billy to a duel, which Billy accepted, donning on his cowboy costume. But Billy's cap gun wasn't a match for the boy's real steel-tipped arrow, which pierced him in the back of the head, killing him instantly.
Ouch.
Billy's ghost is wearing the same cowboy costume and the arrow is still in his head. So one of the things in the movie is he doesn't actually attack anybody. He just says, I want to play, which is creepy as hell.
That works.
Yes, so that is Ghost 1. Ghost 2 is the torso. Jimmy the Gambler Gambino was a gambler in the early 1900s. He was the son of an addicted gambler and spent most of his childhood at the horse tracks. His love for gambling eventually led him to become a greedy casino owner who caught the attention of the mafia. Challenged by wealthy businessmen affiliated with the mob, he bet heavily on a boxing match. After he lost the bet and didn't have the money to pay up, Jimmy attempted to flee but was caught by the mafia and the boxer, who cut him into pieces, wrapped him in cellophane, dumping the remains in the ocean. His ghost appears as a torso with severed head nearby, forever screaming in agony.
So that kind of reminds me of the fiery head from the original. So, okay.
But backstory and something the mob would do. I mean, I'm throwing that out there. It's something the mob would do.
We talked about Fatty Walsh and a few other famous mobster ghosts in the past.
Yep. So here we go. You ready for number 3?
Yep.
I'm going to say the name. I want you to tell me what you think happened to her.
Okay.
She's called the Bound Woman.
Oh, that definitely sounds like witch trials or something like that, where they tied her up to test her if she was a witch or not.
Not quite. Susan LeGros was the richest girl in town and was the most popular in high school. Her one flaw was she flirted and toyed with boys and men, leaving a long trail of broken hearts. During her senior prom night, Chet Walters, a star quarterback, caught Susan cheating on him with another boy. The next day, the boy was found beaten to death and Susan had gone missing. She was found dead 2 weeks later, buried beneath the 50-yard line of the high school's football field.
Oh, wow.
So she is found with the tie that strangled her still around her neck, and her arms are bound behind her back, and she's in a prom dress. I feel like she could give Carrie a run for her money.
Yeah, that sounds like, just, I'm going to laugh at you.
Yes, nothing like an angry football player. Next is one of my favorite cosplays to do, which I have, is the Withered Lover. So this is Tony Shalhoub's character's devoted wife, and she dies in a fire from a Christmas tree, right? So she dies at St. Luke's Hospital, and then it's a year and a half before the events of the film begin. That happens.
Now, the guy who collected all these ghosts, his name was Sires, right? In the new movie. Because I remember I was a big deal. I have a Sires family, and I always have to explain to people Sires means shepherd. So that's what this is all about, is he's shepherding the dead. Yeah,
no, Cyrus Kurtikos. Yeah. And then he has a psychic assistant named Dennis Rafkin, who Matthew Lillard plays.
Okay,
so let's keep going down the ghosts. The next one, the Torn Prince. Roy Clayton was gifted and famous teenage baseball player in the 1950s who caught the eye of colleges around the U.S. He died in a drag race thanks to his challenger, a greaser who cut his brake lines. His remains are still buried in a plot overlooking the baseball diamond. So he walks around armed. You know how I love it when they are armed.
Yeah, with a baseball bat.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. Okay. Here's the next one that could be fun for you to guess at, right?
All right.
The Angry Princess.
So that'd be someone like spoiled or just I don't know, something. That's what I would go for. Yeah, Angry Princess would be like a Karen Barbie for me.
Kind of, and it's funny you say that. So the Angry Princess is Dana Newman. She was a beautiful but abused lady who lived in the late 20th century. She had plastic surgeries to alter her perceived flaws. And after a botched experiment mutilated her eye, she brutally killed herself in the bathtub at the clinic. She is a bloody naked ghost that carries the same knife that she used to commit suicide.
Oh,
The next one, as you see, this is going around an entire zodiac, right?
yeah. This is the 12 zodiac signs. It was a neat way to tie it.
Is the Pilgrimess.
Okay, so someone religious.
Isabella Smith came to North America as a colonist to find a new life after being orphaned in England. The tight-knit community ostracized and ignored her and used her as a scapegoat, being accused of
Witchcraft.
Yep. When crops and animals mysteriously died, she denied the accusations, but she was trapped in a burning barn, managed to escape unharmed. That sealed her fate. She died of starvation after being condemned to a pillory that she carries with her as a ghost. So I don't know if everybody knows what a pillory is.
Pillories are not pleasant. That's the fun thing that you always take your picture with when you're at one of those old history places. It's where your head and your hands are stuck through the stockade. That's a pillory. Yeah.
Exactly. Her ghost still carries around this.
Yeah. Forever. That's not good.
So then there are two that kind of go together.
Okay.
These are the Great Child and the Dire Mother.
Okay, so Honey Boo Boo and her mom.
What?
Honey Boo Boo and her mom, from the reality show, I would assume.
Oh, kind of close, actually.
Oh.
So the Great Child, Harold Shelbourne, was a mentally disabled man who never outgrew diapers and had to be spoon-fed even as a fully grown adult. And he often made baby sounds. After being mocked, teased, and tormented all of his life, he caused a massacre at the old freak show where him and his mother, Margaret Shelbourne, lived. Some of the freaks had kidnapped his mother as a joke one night, accidentally killing her in the process. The circus owner, Jimbo, had Harold mutilated beyond recognition. His ghost appears as he did in real life with a small patch of hair, a bib covered in vomit, and cloth diapers. He still holds the axe he used to kill his enemies.
Do not watch the movie Baby before this.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Margaret Shelbourne, Harold's mother, was a shy little lady standing only 3 feet tall. She could never stand up for herself. At the freak show where she lived, she was raped by the tall man, another circus freak, and gave birth to her illegitimate son, Harold, whom she loved more than life itself. She smothered and spoiled him in infancy and never stopped as he grew. That's the main reason for Harold's issues. To the point where Harold killed almost the entire circus after Margaret accidentally died during the prank orchestrated by the other circus freaks. They remain together at all times. So when you see these ghosts in the movie, they're together. So there's only 3 left, which is going to round us out to 12. But that is our interesting part. So I'm going to say these other ones, and then we're going to take a break. But the next one, I want you to guess, Mark, is called the Hammer.
Okay, that's got to be somebody with a big sledgehammer or weapon, or maybe we're going to keep with this kind of medieval theme of the Zodiac. I'd say like the smith, like a blacksmith.
You nailed it. An honest family man and blacksmith in the early 1890s.
I got one.
Yes, you did. George Markley was falsely accused of stealing a higher up named Nathan and threatened with exile from their old Western town. Knowing he was innocent, George stood up to Nathan and refused to leave. One day, George's family was walking home from the market. Nathan and his gang of thugs attacked and killed them brutally. Enraged, George took his blacksmith hammer, tracked down Nathan and his friends, and beat them to death. But the townfolk chained him to a tree outside his blacksmith shop and drove railroad spikes into his body. His left hand was cut off and the hammer was crudely attached to it.
Wow.
So he is not a pleasant ghost to run into at all. But the last two are my favorites in a way. So
okay,
I'm going to let you try to guess. There's one called the Jackal.
Ooh, the Jackal. That would be like a thief, or maybe if we're gonna go medieval, I would go lycanthrope, maybe like a wild man. Wolfhead, maybe.
Kind of. So he had an insatiable appetite, but he was born to a prostitute in 1887. Ryan Kuhn developed a sick appetite for women, attacking and raping prostitutes at night.
Ooh.
Ryan voluntarily committed himself to the Boar Hamwood Asylum for treatment, but after years of solitary confinement, Ryan went completely insane, scratching on the walls so violently his fingernails were torn completely off. In response, the doctors kept him permanently bound in a straitjacket, tying it tighter whenever he acted out, contorting his limbs. After gnawing through his straitjacket to get free, the doctors locked his head in a cage and sealed him away in the cell in a basement. While there, he developed a hatred for humanity, screaming madly and cowering whenever approached by people. When the asylum burst into flames, he chose to stay behind and perish in the fire while everyone else escaped. That is a scary human being.
Wow. So what's this last one then?
The Juggernaut. Want to guess?
Okay, so that's Cain Marco, Charles Xavier's brother, who found the gem of Sidorak, which gave him invulnerability power. No, wait, that's X-Men. Sorry. I would say going with all the medieval themes. I would say they'd probably go with like a circus strongman or something like that, maybe.
Kind of close. Horace Breaker Mahoney was born very disfigured and was an outcast his entire life. His mother abandoned him at the tender age of 10, and his dad put him to work in the junkyard, using his unusual strength to crush cars.
Oh,
After
okay.
his dad died, Horace went insane. He would take motorists and hitchhikers, tear them apart with his bare hands, and feed the remains to his dogs. After several of these murders, he was arrested. The SWAT team shot and killed him when he broke free of his handcuffs.
Big guy.
Yes, he's a very big guy. And I'm going to say this. The movie starts off with Cyrus and Rafkin trying to capture the Juggernaut.
All right. So that's kind of cool because in the one cool thing about the old 60s one was basically his whole theory was that ghosts were made of an unseen, a matter that we cannot see with the naked eye. And so they came up with this ghost viewer device in the movie. And if you can see it, you can catch it. And that's why they have a special one in the movie. And that's why that was the gimmick in the movie, was you would watch it, with your viewer to catch the ghosts with your eye. And so it sounds like this is very similar, where they were actually catching them and trapping them in more like a Ghostbuster type device and trapping them in this house.
So he trapped them in different rooms of the house, and there were glasses that you could put on to see them trapped in these certain places.
So they kept the main house, William Castle stuff then. So
there was some use of it because you get into the house, and of course it's an eccentric antique house and everything looks cool. But then you realize, especially downstairs, he's trapped all these ghosts and they're not happy about it at all.
Okay. So that's still only 12.
Yep. That's only 12. So we're going to take a quick break. And then we're going to get into why this is called 13 Ghosts.
All right.
Greetings, travelers. Now available on Audible and other audiobook platforms, Eerie, Appalachia. Join us, won't you, as we discuss creatures like the Popelick Monster, the White Fangs, the Snallygaster, the Wampus Cat, the Lizard Man of Skateboard Swamp, Bunny Man Bridge, and the Ohio Grassman. All these creatures and more await you if you dare listen to Eerie, Appalachia. Presented by Mark Muncy, History Press, and Four Horsemen Publishing.
Okay, we're back. So, interestingly
enough, I got my ghost viewer, and
you got your ghost viewer?
I was watching, and I did not see any ghosts immediately around. So, but I was watching in the I believe window. I probably should have watched in the I don't believe window, and maybe it would have made them stronger. So who knows?
Yeah. So what it turns out for this house, and I mean, absolutely see this movie, because even though we're telling you some of this, we're not giving it away, right?
Oh, no. These are meant to just be enjoyed. Even that old 1961, it's a lark. It's the plot twists are plot twists, but they're not really. It's nothing more than a Scooby-Doo level plot twist. Sorry, guys.
It's true. And so this entire house that Cyrus made, it turns out, he made this house to lure Arthur and his kids in, because there's only one way to get the 13th ghost, which is Arthur needs to sacrifice himself for his children.
Oh.
And that will create the 13 ghost.
Okay.
So he thinks that he has to kill himself. I'm not going to reveal the entire ending, but he does make the move to do so. And you find out that Cyrus might not have been as honest as he had to be. But this is when the entire house goes into motion and starts pulling all the ghosts towards it.
And in the original 1961, the 12th ghost is the guy who was catching the ghost. He writes that he's dying. He's convinced he's going to be murdered, and that he can't trust anybody. So obviously eyes are on the creepy lady who might be the one behind everything. But of course, the handsome lawyer might be a little disconcerting too, and all that. He seems to have taken a fascination to the little boy in the house and all that. But the 13th ghost in that is one of the final victims in the original movie, which happens during the film. I won't explain the plot, but it's a pretty cool gimmick, and it's well done. And at the end of the movie, there's a happy ending in the first one, in the original.
I'm not going to reveal what kind of ending happens in this new one, but we will put links to it in the notes, because it is one of my favorite movies ever from a horror movie standpoint. And of course, we're talking about the thing that I hate encountering the most, which are really 13 poltergeists. I mean, 12 poltergeists these characters are. And it's interesting to see how they brought together this group of very specific ghosts that you find out that Cyrus and Rapkit went and hunted to bring them to power this house, right? They're very specific, but they created this entire lore. And I will have to say this too, to build this 13 Ghosts, and they didn't do that quite in the original 13 Ghosts movie. So, and they called it the Black Zodiac. So one of my favorite costumes that I have gotten to cosplay in with my very good friend Brandy, who runs Enchanted Flower Bake, shout it out to her. She dressed as the Bound Woman, and I dressed as the Withered Lover, and it looked like my face was melting off and most of my skin. And we went and met Matthew Lillard, which was amazing. And he was so sweet, and he got so excited when he saw us. He goes, "You're from that movie." And I'm like, 13 Ghosts? And I'm like, "You were in it?" He goes, Yeah. Oh my God, can I hug you? Who wouldn't take a hug from Matthew Lillard, Mark? But one of the things I wanted to cover a little bit is the fact that the Black Zodiac is actually a real thing, having nothing to do with ghosts.
Right.
You know, the Black Zodiac is actually apparently the sort of dark side of our existing zodiac. So there is, I guess, a yin to a yang with everything. I'm not sure how many of our travelers know about this, but I think it's fascinating. And I kind of wanted to go over what the flip side of the normal zodiac is.
All right.
What do you think?
Let's go for it. You're taking me on a journey this time. I'm all in.
Okay, so here we go. The first side is normally Aries. So we're going to start there. So if you're in Aries, your flip side is the tyrant.
Oh.
You are an aspirer and want everything that life can offer you, but when it comes to advances, you never want on your own behalf. In other words, you're never pleased in any way. Even though being one, it seems to keep you motivated. So that is what the flip side of an Aries is the tyrant, which is weird.
That's very interesting. So I would assume they have a trait like the irregular zodiac, because Aries is usually like impulsive and impatient. So I would assume they would do something along those lines, but a darker version of that, right?
It's really whatever you achieve in life, it's never enough for you. You always seek more and more. So that is the flip side of the Aries.
Okay. So then we're moving on to, I would assume, Taurus.
Taurus, yes.
Okay.
Flip side of the Taurus is the fallen demon.
Through May 20. Let's go.
Yes, the fallen demon. You've gone through bad and good times. However, the effects of the fallen demon only lets you stick to the bad times in life. You are surrounded by your failures every day. It's suggested to you to stop thinking about your failures and try to gain confidence, and you gather your determination together and try to do it, and you can't.
Wow,
super fun.
Taurus's evil side is like materialism and possessiveness, right? So I assume that's enhanced with this Black Zodiac.
I would think so. Next one. Do you know where we're going next? Where are we going next, Mark?
Gemini, which is May 21st through June 20th, I think.
And that is the basilisk.
Oh, okay.
People around you already know that they should avoid being on the negative side of you. You can be poisonous for people. You turn out to be very dangerous for those who trigger and anger you. And you are capable enough to make their lives miserable.
Okay, so the enhancing that two-faced personality, that the negative side of Gemini. So interesting. That's creepy. I like that.
It's creepy. And what's super fun here is we're going to get even more and more into ones closer to us. Yeah. So where do we go next, Mark?
This would be Cancer, right? So June 21st through July 22nd. Yeah.
The Cancer, normally represented by a crab, in this case is the serpent.
Oh.
You were born with some amazing qualities, and one of them is the power of manipulation. And you are good at manipulating others.
Okay. Yeah, because Cancers are known for being very mood swingy. That's their negative trait. So I assume this is just with the serpent, it would be coiling on themselves and coiling. Interesting. Yeah. I'm fascinated by that. I can't wait to look into this more.
Well, what do we have next?
This would be July to August. So Leo, right? So July 23rd through August 22nd.
Exactly. In this case, it's the War Maiden. Usually we live our lives in a circular motion and doing those regular chores and ignoring everything else that life has to offer. Mostly we are blind and do not observe these treasures. How it's not the same for you. you can see what others can't in their true forms, no matter if it's right, wrong, good, or bad.
Now, Leos generally are like they crave attention and all that. That's their negative side, is that they have to be the center of attention and all that. So I can imagine this, just amplifying that a little bit to narcissism almost, I guess. Okay. So we're coming up on me. That would be Virgo, August 23rd through September 21st.
So you're going to love this. You ready?
Yes. What is the opposite of the virgin? The slut?
The maelstrom.
Oh, the maelstrom? Okay.
Yeah. You are a loyal lover. This quality is one which is also most dangerous. You are very possessive naturally, and you feel jealous. And once you get this feeling, it becomes extremely difficult for others to make you feel better, no matter how hard they try.
Okay. I know our negative trait is being very dramatic. Everything is dramatic with us. And so I can only imagine that enhancing even more. But the maelstrom, all that makes me sad for is that Epcot took out a great ride and put in a Frozen ride.
Oh, don't get fans of Frozen mad at us, Mark. What are you doing?
Oh, they just need to let it go. All right. All right. So now this is the one I'm on the cusp. So this one I kind of lean into a little bit too. So that would be Libra. So that's September 22nd through October 22nd.
Yes. And that one is the ravenous.
Oh, okay. So hunger. Well, that explains my stomach.
We all have an evil spirit within us. And when it comes to you, yours is the loudest.
Oh.
And they always keep you on the ground.
Okay. Because now Libra's negative trait's workaholic. Like they can't stop working on projects to the point where they are always prepping things but never completing them. I would assume that this was just enhancing that.
Yeah, well. It sounds like it, that it would be that voice that you can't make be quiet.
Yeah, and we never focus on the fine. We always focus on the wide picture and never on the details to make it. So
exactly.
Yeah, because I lean into both those, Virgo and Libra. I'm right there. I was literally born on a midnight between the two. So, all right. So let's see. Next would be Scorpio.
Yeah.
October 23rd through November 21st or 22nd.
So this one is the poison dart.
Okay. So the tail of the scorpion.
Yes. You can handle extreme pressure. You're aware of the right time for converting things into your favor. You know how long you have to wait to gain something.
And now Scorpios are known for, when they're hurt, they strike, right? That's the whole point of a scorpion. So they have a very bad temper if you get them angry. I assume this would just be much, much worse, 10 times forward.
Well, and knowing exactly when to take somebody out and waiting to do so, which is just nice and terrifying.
Oh man, these are interesting. These are very interesting. Okay, so next would be Sagittarius.
Yes.
November 22nd through December 21st. Yeah, right before Christmas. Yes. Solstice.
The Sagittarius's flip side is the Tempest.
Okay, not the Maelstrom, but the Tempest. Okay.
The Tempest, just like a strong storm, you don't care about things that are heading your way.
Wow. Okay.
Your ultimate desire is the sense of freedom all the time. So that means you never want to be required to do something.
All right. Is there a negative side? I know some people think Sagittarius tend to be rude because they're kind of know-it-alls and self-righteous. That tends to be their negative traits. But it's actually because they just are very pure of intent and not backbiters. So they don't hide things. So I guess that would just be enhanced with this black zodiac version. Interesting. I'm fascinated by this still. This is all right. I'm digging this. Okay, so next would be Capricorn. So that's late December 22nd through January 20th, 19th, somewhere in there.
19th. Yeah. Okay. The opposite of the Capricorn is the Leviathan.
Ooh, interesting.
And this one was very interesting to me. So it says people are never able to crack your personality, and they will never understand what kind of person you are. And therefore, as a result, they never know how to deal with you. And there are mysterious forces which always force you into the dark and in sin.
Man, I know the negative trait of Capricorn is usually that they very much love gossiping and being negative to people and also using others for their own benefit. That's the Capricorn negative trait. So, but the black zodiac, I'm assuming, again, much darker, much worse. With that, would stab you in the back and then tell you about it. I would.
Well, and you know what's interesting that I thought, like, obviously the darkness and the sin, but not being able, I mean, I think one a thing that we do as people that some people are better skilled at than others, but trying to understand the person that they're talking to or trying to see where they're coming from and stuff. So imagine you could never detect that from a person you were engaged with. I mean, that would be completely almost horrific because you never would know where you stand.
Well, moving on. Next would be Aquarius, which one of my children is there, and that's January 20th through February 18th.
Here we go. It's so funny because the last one is actually my zodiac sign, so I think it's funny it's going in this order. But here we go.
What's the next?
It's the Beast.
Sorry, Callie.
Yeah. Sorry, Callie. People are dependent on you like a ship is dependent on an anchor when not moving. You give them strength and direction. But you've been handling your own pains and grief in your life for so long, it really doesn't make a difference if you have a few more.
Wow.
So, yeah, you give people the direction while taking on their grief and horrific experiences.
I know the negative again for Aquarius is usually they love to offer advice even when it's not required because they tend to see themselves as very smart, very logical, and they tend to ignore certain things. That's the negative side. So I can only imagine that this would, just boost that and be just such a negative. Man, the Black Zodiac, I am not enjoying this. I'm fascinated by it, but to think that people would be affected by this would be terrible. All right, so now we're up to Pisces, February 19th through March 20th. I know somebody there.
Yeah. So the opposite of the Pisces is the sword.
Oh, okay. Wouldn't have went there, but that makes sense. All right.
When it comes to struggles and life being warlike situations, you are often not on the losing side, but on the winning side more than you expected by yourself. But the ruthless persistence and your beliefs is the most true sense defines you, and the ways your rivals get scars from you define your enemies. It could easily and completely get lost in the pursuit.
Wow. Okay.
Of the battles.
Interesting.
I don't love that at all.
Because basically, Pisces, the negative side, right, is they tend to be self-centered and they will tend to portray you in a bad light as a friend, right? Because they're trying to help you, but they're pointing out your negatives. That's the bad side of a Pisces in general. So that's why you have to be very mentally strong to be friends with the Pisces. I don't know anybody who has to deal with that on a daily basis.
Oh, you shut your mouth, Mark.
But no, I can see. So again, Black Zodiac, that would be enhanced and worse. And they would, I could imagine them just belittling you, but not realize they're thinking they're helping. But
yeah. And you know what's interesting about that, I think, for me, is that one of the things that I've had to deal with most of my life is wanting to help people and then not realizing they didn't actually ask me for help.
Oh, okay.
So you go running in to help people and you're like, they didn't actually ask me for help at all. So that's fun. Anyway, it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, no, that it's definitely interesting because basically Zodiac is, I mean, besides a serial killer, is a is it's interesting stuff to study because it so many people attribute so much to it. It is a religion of its own and a faith of its own, and again, it's intent. What you put into it is what you get out of it. And I mean, how many newspapers still have astrology columns? All of them. We may not have Ziggy anymore, but we still got astrology. It's,
It's true. And I have to say that one of the things I thought was really fascinating about this is I don't, how much credence you say, how much intention you put in, but a lot of times you can meet somebody and kind of guess what their sign is because there
oh
are
yeah,
some traits. However, the universe has worked this out that are very like mine are very Pisces traits in life. They say the Pisces are the oldest of the signs, and they're kind of
Mhm.
a combination of all the signs and very artistic and very free flowing. And it's, people when they meet me tend to go, "Are you a Pisces?" And I'm like, "Yeah." The other one I get is Scorpio, but that might be when I'm mad.
Yeah. I get Virgo and Libra all the time, and I'm like, well, I'm right in between. So yeah,
The whole thing is fascinating, but the moral of this is that when movies create lore to go with them, they're better.
yeah. No, anything you can use to build your world in any work of fiction, and the more, and if you can use some real world stuff behind it, that's great. Now I'm gonna have to do some research on the Black Zodiac to see if it's one of those that appeared after the movie or if it's something that's been around long before the movie and they just rebuilt it.
It's something that I can tell you actually has been around since before the movie. They talk about it having
Hmm.
been way back. It's just it's not the popular one. You know what I mean?
Of course not. Yeah. And it's funny because that goes from an old William Castleman. Now, they also redid House on Haunted Hill with Jeffrey Rush later. There was a big resurgence of the old William Castle movies from the 60s in the early 2000s where they were remaking them all. It's pretty funny, but I love that this guy had an amazing legacy. William Castle, who was actually William Schloss, but changed his name, he died in 1977. But man, how many movies did he produce? And then his gimmicks. I know we mentioned Emergo for House on Haunted Hill. One of the other ones was The Tingler. And that one, it was filmed in Percepto. And it was a creature that could attach itself to the human spinal cord. So he bought military surplus airplane wing de-icers, which are basically vibrating motors. And he had them travel from theater to theater and put them under random seats. So when people watching the movie, he could turn them on and occasionally their seat would shake.
I love that. I love that.
And then one of his ones was a movie called Homicidal, where he did a fright break with a timer overlaid over the film's climax so that the house had 45 seconds to leave and get a full refund if they were too afraid to see the final minute of the film. The problem was, as people figured it out, they could stay and watch it a second time and catch the ending. So he had to print different colored tickets to stop that. That's the kind of stuff this guy did. It's amazing. I remember one was The Bug, one of his last ones. He offered $1 million insurance policy for the film star Hercules the Cockroach.
Oh gosh.
But the big thing was he produced Rosemary's Baby.
I love that. That's an amazing movie.
And Alfred Hitchcock said the whole reason he made Psycho was because he loved watching William Castle movies.
Well, you'll have to throw some of those into the show notes so people can look them up.
Definitely.
With that, come out to Scarefest, come see us, come meet Matthew Lillard, who was amazing in that movie, and get your picture taken and tell him you're a traveler and that you heard about it from us.
That's just too much fun. The Black Zodiac, something fun to go down a rabbit hole. And With that, gang, thank you all so much for joining us on this Eerie travel. Erica, thank you for taking me down. I'm going to have to watch the new movie. I think I skipped it for some reason.
We'll have to get together, watch it together, because now I'll need to see your reaction. And Travelers, I want to know what you think, because hopefully we haven't done too many spoilers. But I love this movie.
And yeah, no, that sounds like a great movie. And so I'm excited. And then maybe I can get you to watch the original for at least 5 minutes, just so we can see some of the ghost effects, which were pretty groundbreaking at the time, even though they were a little cheesy. But with that, gang, thank you so much for joining us. We will hope to see you all at some of our events. If you want to see what events we're at, go to eerietravels.com. Also, make sure North Carolina Bigfoot Adventures, November, seats are selling out. Get them quick. We're going to be telling ghost stories on the mountain. And then there's going to be a Bigfoot hunt later that night. You can camp out and see the fall leaves and experience fall. For our friends in Florida and places that don't have fall, come up here and enjoy it. And for people who are too far north and it's too cold, come down here and enjoy a last little grasp of fall. So with all that said, thank you so much. And we will say this one last time. For those that are at the theater, the lights are turning down. You've got your popcorn ready. Get yourself a nice frosty beverage. Enjoy the movie for what it is. And just keep telling yourself, it's only a movie. It's only a movie. It's only a movie. And we'll see you on the other side.